Live the Goals Podcast, episode number 125.
Live the Goals Podcast, your place for motivation, life lessons, and laughter. Don't settle for wandering through a mundane life. Instead, let us help you reach your goals and live a fulfilling life doing what you love. Our guests know what it's like to live with purpose and laugh along the way. Warning, if you're a stick in the mud, you definitely need to stick around. Loosen up your ties, kick off your high heels, and let's get to it with your host, Dale Richardson.
Welcome back to Live the Goals Podcast, friends and family. Happy to have you here for another interview episode here at Live the Goals Podcast. I'm your host, Dale Richardson. And friends and family, if this is your first time joining us, I'd love for you to go back to episode 0, take a listen to what we're all about here at Live the Goals Podcast and what we're trying to accomplish with our 5 episodes a week, 4 Word of the Day episodes, and 1 interview episode. And today's interview episode is with a young gentleman named Mark Snelling. And Mark has some fantastic plans coming your way. Not only did Mark just release his first book called The Straight Line, but Mark is in the process of creating an animated series that's going to teach people lessons about life goals and success. So you got to hear this episode. All the great things that Mark has planned, as well as his thoughts, tips, and strategies on success and goal setting. So, friends and family, with no further ado, here's our interview with Mark Snelling. Okay, friends and family, we are ready to get started with our guest for this week. Our guest is Mark Snelling, and Mark is a software engineer and an Amazon best-selling author of the book, The Straight Line. Mark graduated from Hampton University with a degree in computer engineering and the University of Notre Dame with a master's in engineering business. Mark wants to teach people that life is not a perfect, straightforward process, but rather a unique experience for everyone. Mark, are you ready to help us set and reach goals that matter?
I'm ready to change lives, Dale.
Let's do it together, Mark. I love that. And, I gave them kind of your written professional bio, but I'd love for you to share a little more about who you are.
Well, yes, I am just a simple guy who loves to figure things out, but also loves to help people to see that life is just not this equation or formula. As you know, I came from a engineering background, and so that's very, very logical, very thought-based, has a lot of processes. And I try to apply that to life, and it doesn't work that way because it's unique and different for everyone. So, I'm a straightforward guy, but I've learned to loosen up over the years, especially in the years as I've written this book.
Yeah. So Mark, we got to take a detour right off the bat, and I got to ask you, I am a native from Hampton, Virginia. So I've got to ask you, what is one of your favorite memories from Hampton, Virginia?
And this will be obscure to anybody who's not a Hamptonian who went to Hampton University, but crossing Ogden. Just to give you a little background, Ogden is a flag. Well, Ogden is a building that has a flagpole in its courtyard. And there's a legend on campus that if you cross that before you graduate, then you will not graduate on time. So there is a day that all the seniors go ahead and cross Ogden Circle, and it's usually the night before graduation. And I think that it was a culmination of just completing a whole bunch of courses, meeting new people, and getting ready to tackle life after our graduation. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, and I've actually been on campus and seen somebody snatch a freshman off of there and say, "Do you know what you're about to do?"
that one and walking across the waterfront are the two biggest legends on campus, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. So quick story, and then I promise we'll get into this interview. I actually grew up with a couple friends whose parents were professors at Hampton University. And so I know that campus, at least the old campus, almost like the back of my hand, and spent many a day and many a night on that campus there. So Hampton University is near and dear to my heart, even though I didn't go there. And so I won't criticize you for your choice because it happens to be in my backyard.
Oh. Well, as long as you didn't go to Howard.
Right.
But
oh man,
it's a rivalry with them.
I hear you. So Mark, I love starting my podcast off with our guests telling us a funny story, something that happened to you recently that either made you laugh or made you just have to shake your head and say, that's life.
Oh, the latter is true. So I just recently went on a missions trip with Legacy Community Church in Georgia to Haiti, and our mission there was to build pews. Well, that was not the only thing that we were supposed to do. We went to this other church that was in the foothills, in which we taught them CPR, because Haiti doesn't have the medical situation that the United States does, so they really have to be able to stabilize a person so that they'll be able to get them to the hospital. And so I was there teaching how to do CPR, and I like to say that I had an agreement with my body.
Okay, this is a good start.
So I basically said, hey, while we're out, we're not going to go to the bathroom at all, because the hotel that I was staying in had a nice enough bathroom, and I said, we'll take care of all the business there. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened, but I was teaching CPR, and then my body was like, Mark, you have to go. And I was like, no, I don't have to. We have an agreement about this. Oh, you have to go. And I started being like, oh, crap, I do have to go.
No.
And I was pacing back and forth, doing it very discreetly so nobody knew the battle that was going on in my head.
Right.
I look up on the hill and I see an outhouse. And let me describe this to you. Inside this outhouse, there was no toilet. There was just metal sheets, covering, and a hole. A stone hole, but a hole. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is actually going to happen. So after I just kind of accepted that my body had failed me, I ran up there and tried to close the door, which was a metal sheet. There was no lock. So the door was not going to be closed.
Oh,
and
no.
I thought, oh, no, not only do I have to go to the bathroom, I have to keep a lookout, too. So, excuse me, I just keep a lookout, do this quick, and I'm like, all right, I'm not even going to touch this stone hole. And I'm thinking, all right, okay, the deed's done. Look over to my left, no toilet paper. I don't know why I was expecting toilet paper, but I was like, okay, I've been a Boy Scout. I can handle this. So I look over and I see a banana leaf, and I'm like, it's got to be done. So I bolt to the banana leaf, rip off a leaf, and then I have a thought in my head. Wait a minute. We're teaching CPR. CPR has to be, when you perform CPR on the mannequins, they have to be sanitized. What do you sanitize with? Clorox wipes. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. So very discreetly, I just walked down in there like nothing happened, grab 2 Clorox wipes, go all the way back up, take care of business, and walk in like nothing happened. Nobody knew what happened until I told them, like, I think a couple of days later.
Oh, my goodness.
I was about to resort to the banana leaf. I was like, I'm not above, I may be American, but I'm not above wiping, if you will.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. And I mean, when you're out there, I mean, it was a great opportunity to serve the people of Haiti. But yeah, when we were out there on the frontier, I was like, okay, we can't have accidents like that anymore. We have to be prepared.
Oh, man. Well, Mark, appreciate you sharing that. I don't know about the folks that are listening, but I know that I've had some pretty close calls here and there too, where your body does not agree with what the agreement was.
It was close. It was close.
Yeah. So Mark, this is Live the Goals podcast. And so, we're going to talk about goals. And so I'd love to just ask you, for our friends and families, what are some tools or strategies that they can use to get closer to their goals today?
Well, as I've seen over the past years in my admittedly short life, the most powerful tool to go to your goal is your mind. Your mind can be your greatest ally and your biggest enemy, because not only will it set you on the path to your goal, but it can also naysay, it can also bring up doubt, it can also bring up fear. But if you align your mind to what you're going to go to, and you say in affirmation, this is what I'm going to do, nothing's going to stop me, then not life, nor people, nor your job, nor any circumstance around you can beat you down and keep you from that goal. Now, that alignment, and I'm a Christian, I'll say that, that alignment comes from that belief that God has put that in you. And but you have to make up your mind. God can show you the way, but you have to make up your mind to take that path. So you need to be able to say to yourself, is this really what I want? And make sure that your mind is set on that, so that I believe it's Philippians that says, press toward the high calling of your life. I heavily paraphrased that, but but it basically says, keep going and don't look to the left or the right, because if you get distracted, that's only going to take away from what your mind is focused on.
Yeah, and I love how you point out that your mind could be your greatest asset, or it could be a detractor for you. And there's a phrase I go to over and over again that says, the mind is fertile ground. It cares not what you plant. And so, So if you're planting that positivity and those affirmations and you're setting your goals and believing in them, then you'll reap more of that, because that's what you're planting in your mind. But if you're a detractor and you're subtracting and you're negative, then you'll get more of that as well. So thank you for that tool there, Mark.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you about you now. What's one big goal that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Even though I just finished with the book, and I'm going to talk about the book later, but I'm actually working on an animated series. It's called The Order Sanctus. It's about this young girl who is really tired of her being confined to a certain placement in life. She wants to be this... She wants to live in her calling. She wants to protect people. She wants to make sure that they have a great life. And she gets this opportunity as this guy wanders into her village, and she learns of this huge conflict in the world. Now, I'm a very big fantasy guy. I grew up with Star Wars, with DC Comics, Marvel Comics. Huge geek, huge nerd. But I really love that story of good and evil. And that's one of the major goals I'm working on, trying to make this animated series, because, I was influenced with those shows that I grew up on, but also making a show that teaches. And the thing that this show, that I want it to teach, is that whatever you put your mind to, you can do. And also that no matter what gets in your way, you can still keep going forward.
Right. And so nowadays, I know that there is a wide range of animated series. So I'd love to know from you, is this an animated series that's focused on children, adults, or is it one of those hybrids that's kind of focused on both of them?
It's actually a hybrid. I think it has lessons for adults as well as lessons for kids. The kids, of course, will resonate with the action and the humor, but I think what adults can get from it is that both of the main characters have come from very, not terrible backgrounds, but backgrounds that kind of stifle them in one direction. The main character comes from a background where her father wants her to be just this political figure, if you will, a person who sits down and just talks all the problems out, but stays safe. Whereas the main supporting character has been a warrior his entire life, and is so goal driven that he doesn't stop to see the forest for the trees.
Wow.
Or the trees for the forest, whichever way that goes. But the thing that he learns is that, or that both of them learn, is that they need everybody. And even though everybody has a different goal in mind, they can all agree on one goal and all work through their differences and their backgrounds to achieve that goal. And I think that's something that everybody can learn.
Absolutely. And Mark, you're going to have to make sure that you keep us posted on that.
I definitely will.
Yeah. Make sure the friends and family here at Live the Goals know when that comes out. And so if you keep me posted, I will be sure to send that out on social media and things of that sort. Yeah. That sounds fantastic. And I'm rooting for you and looking forward to it. And that is a really big goal to have, to try to get that to come to fruition here. So thank you for sharing that with us, Mark. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So here's what we're going to do next. You've told us about your goals. You gave us some tools and strategies. You talked about how mindset plays into our goal setting, but I'd love to know about purpose, right? I firmly believe that, we attack our goals with a little bit of extra oomph when it's something that's aligned with our purpose. And then I also believe that our purpose can shift, that sometimes in certain stages of life, our purpose or is based off of maybe where we are at that point. And as we grow and evolve, our purpose may grow and evolve as well. So I'd like to know what your purpose is in this stage of life.
If you had asked me that 2 years ago, I would have told you I have no idea. Let me do a quick. It's really funny because it's going to seem like a plug, but it's also it deals with purpose.
Right.
When I was younger, I thought that following society's streamlined pathway to success was everything in life. And all I wanted to do was, get good grades, get the accolades, achieve, because that was what I'd always been told to do. And, society has said, you succeed in school, you succeed in education, you go to the next stage, stage, and then you get a job, and then you grow old, and then before you grow old, you marry, you get the job, and then you have kids, and then you grow old and you die. Well, you retire, then die.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? That's how life should be lived. But as I grew older, I realized I didn't really have a concrete purpose. And I had to be 2 to 3 years just searching, asking God, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I just felt so useless because I was like, where do I go from here? Because I felt like life was a straight line. And so around when I was about 22, 23, I kind of figured that, okay, even if you do everything right, life will just send you on this tangent. And so I figured, all right, what do I really love to do? And this is where Dr. Tanya Lowe, who does the Riot Starter Masterclass, where she came in. I joined her class, and she really just kind of pushed me on what I loved to do. And this is where a conflict came in, because what I loved to do was tell stories. And through those stories, I loved to teach. But get this, I didn't think I could make any money from it. I thought, you know what, I'm an engineer, because engineering will outlive a recession, if you will. Remember, in 2008, there was a bit of a recession. So when I went to college around that time, I wanted to pick something that was recession-proof. So I picked engineering. But subtly, I had forgotten the calling that was in my life, that I loved to tell stories. You see how animated I was when I told my whole bathroom joke there.
Right.
You should see me light up when I'm talking about Star Wars and Batman and all of those type of things. And I just love that. That is what gets me passionate. And so that's how I figured out what my purpose was through taking the Riot Starter Masterclass. I said, you know what? I'm a storyteller. I'm a writer. And the journey of my life is not to get typecasted into engineering and to sit in a little cubicle and just code all day.
Right.
It's to help people to learn about their story and to teach others through the narratives that pop in my head. Because think about it. How do most people learn? What is history class? Shoot, what is the Bible?
Right.
They're all a collection of stories that have happened in real life and in fantasy that teach based on those persons' mistakes, their journey, and where they got to from where they started.
Yeah. And Mark, as a John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach, I mean, we actually do learn quite a bit about the power of story. And so you hit that right on the nose about how powerful stories are at conveying messages and lessons. And so that's right on point and wonderful in taking our friends through your journey of finding your purpose, because I imagine there are friends and family out there who are searching for theirs as well. And you mentioned Dr. Tanya Lowe, so friends and family, if you didn't catch that episode already, that was episode 69. I did an interview with Dr. Tanya Lowe, and she talks about how we can all start our riot and become riot starters. So,
I'm in the middle of starting mine. Sorry.
You said you're in the middle of starting yours?
Yes, I'm in the middle of mine.
Yes. and you know, when you master that, you're going to turn around and start another riot. And so you'll be in the middle of the next one. And that's what's great about this journey of life. If you're centered on your growth, we will continually be building and adapting and changing and becoming better and better. And that's the fun of it, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, it's very fun.
Yeah. So Mark, I want to get a little bit deeper here. And you're successful. You're an engineer. You've written a book. You've talked about this animated series that you're doing. But, you know, some people may look at you and just see where you are now and the success that you're having and not understand that there have been obstacles along the way. And so here's a chance for another story. I want you to share with our friends and family your story about that lowest point, that hard time you came across where, you know, it was an obstacle or maybe even something that other people would have considered a failure. But we know now, looking back, that we needed that for you to get to where you are now.
Excuse me. You know what? I'll raise you. I got two.
Okay.
So I will say the lowest point that I ever got to was the day I lost my first job, or left my first job, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I talk about this in my book, The Straight Line. I talk about how I got there and I loved the culture and the people liked me and I did my job, but I wasn't doing it well enough for them. And I'll tell you, the best part of working at that job, the day I lived for, was Friday. And not because the weekend was coming up next, because Friday was Bible study day. And I led the Bible study there, and it was just a great time to unwind and dive into God's word and everything. But I'll never forget what my boss told me the day that I left. He said 4 words that just resonated with me. I can't use you. And when he said that to me, of course I didn't break then, but when I went out to my car to go home, I cried.
Wow. Because,
as I say in my book, I was on the straight line. I had gone to college. I had gone to graduate school. I had gotten the job. And I fell off. Because the next thing I was trying to do was get a girlfriend, which, that's another tale. But what happened was I fell off. And I thought, God, I did everything right. Like, how could this happen to, somebody who was the highest grade point average in their major? somebody who had gone to 2 prestigious universities. And mind you, a lot of people will think, oh, he's just being full of himself. He had never had that great fall. But you have to understand the mindset I was on. I was trying to, a lot of people say you want to make mistakes, but you want to learn from them. I wanted to make no mistakes.
Right.
At all. I thought they might make mistakes, but I'm going to do everything right. That's not how life works. And I know that now, but it took a failure of that magnitude to show me that you can bounce back from that. Joseph didn't become second in all of Egypt until he went to jail and was accused of rape. Jesus did not fulfill his purpose until he died on the cross. Those failures are what realign your mind to what you should not do afterwards, or it realigns you to what you should be going to.
Mark, what you just said about the power in those failures, and how it redirects us and causes us to look for different routes. It's funny you mentioned that, because just this past weekend, I was giving a speech at a leadership conference and talking about the fact that sometimes success can be your enemy, right?
Ooh,
you might become successful by doing the wrong things, and you might think that those wrong things are the right thing.
I would sit in my office and, do my work, code, but I would just look out the window and see the blue sky and see, those Georgia pines that make all sorts of pollen. But I would see them and I would think, there's got to be more. Now, success would be, staying at the job for X amount of years and, continually raking in that nice software engineering income. Because let me tell you, it's pretty good. But in your soul, you just know that you were made for more. And I realized that. The second thing is the time that I fell off the straight line again, where I was just asking God continually, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Why are you doing this to me? I thought I was doing everything right. And one of those times that I was just still and let God talk, he said, and I'll never forget this, who are you to tell me where you should be right now?
Wow.
Think of if Job had said that. It is very much like Job, actually, where he's saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And God said, wait a minute, be still and let me be God and watch how I can work through you. And I'll never forget this statement that he said. I'm talking about God. Serve where you are now, not where you think you'll be in the future. What that means is stay in the present, because the present is where you are now. The future will take care of itself when you get there.
Right.
But today, do what you can today. Do what you can in this moment. And, tomorrow will take care of itself, which is what Matthew 6:34 says.
Yeah. And, oftentimes we don't like being in those down periods, those downturns, those obstacles. But that's why I asked this question, because when you look back, you start to understand why you needed that portion of the journey in there to get to where you're going.
If I didn't have that, I would still be in my comfort zone. I would still be looking out that window, and I would still be saying, there's more. But I would be content because I didn't have to do anything special. I just had to do my job and sit there.
Wow.
But that's not how you change the world. You change the world by having a greater mindset and thinking, what can I do today that's extraordinary? And yes, it happens incrementally and slowly, but it still happens.
Wow. Well, Mark, we appreciate you sharing two of your stories about low points that you went through, and as you call it, falling off of that line, falling off of that path. And I'd like to talk about two other people who are just sitting there and who need to make a change. And so, Mark, are you ready for our hot seat scenario?
Ooh, hot seat questions. Okay, shoot.
Yes. So here you go, Mark. I asked this of every guest. I'll put you all on the spot with the hot seat scenario. So you are being forced to swap lives with one of two people. You get to choose between either person A, who's working 40 to 50 hours a week, living check to check, and spends an average of 2 to 3 hours a night watching TV or online to wind down. Or you can choose person B, who makes a good amount of money, whatever you want that number to be, and works crazy long hours and has very little free time at all. Now, both of these people wish that they were pursuing their passions, but are not doing so right now. You're going to have to jump into one of these lives and find a way to eventually live your purpose and passion. So, Mark, tell us which one of these two people you're going to swap into, and then very quickly just give us a few steps to get this person on the right path and away from just staring out of the window at the blue skies.
Well, I have answers for both of them, but I'm going to have to choose person A.
All right. So what you going to do to turn person A around?
First of all, that time that they're using to watch the TV or online, we live in a day and age where there's so much information. When I was younger, the information that I got was from my parents' encyclopedias. But there's so much information out there just from Google and YouTube alone. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't even change the TV and online watching, but use it for your passion. If they want to become an animator, watch shows to see how that happens. Read books to see how that happens. So use that time wisely. Second thing, very quickly, network. Use that time to get to know people who are in that field, or connect with people. Just off the top of my head, if I were that person, two big places, Fiverr.com or DeviantArt. DeviantArt, people write stories, make drawings. You can commission people to do stuff for you. Fiverr.com, same thing. People work on a plethora of things for $5. Mm-hmm. Get your work out there, make your passion known. And also, the last thing that I would say, volunteer. If you do, you will quickly learn that your passion is your passion if you do it for free. But don't always do it for free. Move past that.
Right.
But start by volunteering, because what will that do? That'll get your name out there. And of course, you'll still be working your job, but leverage the free time that you do have. To summarize that, get that knowledge that's already out there via YouTube, Google, anything. If it's a passion of yours, somebody, I guarantee, has some kind of spin on it or is doing it already. Second thing, network. Get your name out there so that people know this is what your passion is, and also will be willing to give you a shot at doing it. Third, volunteer. Get out there and do it.
Thank you for giving us 3 quick steps. Maybe not quick, but 3 easy to define steps for person A, for him to go from sitting on the couch 2 or 3 hours watching TV and online and feeling hopeless to maybe using that time to watch different content to drive that purpose and passion, and then to start using that time more wisely. So, Mark, I appreciate you playing along with the hot seat scenario. I love that we get so many different answers from people, and I know that the different answers resonate with different friend and family out there. So yes. I appreciate you playing along.
Oh yeah, it was, like I said, I had something for person B too, but I'll play the game.
yeah, and I always try to make folks choose one and play along. It's a hot seat, so I can't let you get away with not choosing.
That's fine. I had to think about it because I was like, which one do I think would most resonate? I think I tried to use myself as a model.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I hate to say it, but we are already at the point where we are wrapping up this interview.
Oh, okay.
So before we go, I ask all my guests for two things. One, I'd love to know how our friends and family can get in touch with you. So I'm going to want you to give us your contact information. And then right after that, I'd love for you to give us your motivational quote or mantra, something you use to help you get past those rough spots or anytime you might need a little extra push. I'd love for you to share that with our friends and family as well. So Mark, how can we get in touch with you, and what's your motivational quote or mantra?
Well, I definitely have an email and a number that you can use.
Okay.
My number is 404-226-8243. My email is msnelin@alumni.nd, N as in Nancy, D as in dog, .edu. Go Notre Dame. And also be sure to like my Facebook page for The Straight Line. I created it, and I post affirmations there, and also I'm going to be posting this interview there once the link is available, and also future engagements that I will have. And as for the inspirational quote, this to me is my life verse. Matthew 6:33 and 34. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And the reason that's my quote is so many people focus on, success, clothes, money, car, girls, or men if you're women. And they focus on that. But if you just focus on the passion, your faith, God, if you're a Christian, everything else will simply follow. And I also live by the creed, he will never leave or forsake you. But if I follow God and his calling, success will follow. And then the 34 is, sufficient is today for its own trouble. Don't worry about tomorrow. That goes back to what I was saying about live in the now. Serve where you are now and not where you think you will be in the future.
Friends and family, so much thanks to Mark here. Drop in some knowledge on us. If you're a Christian, I know that resonates with you. And if you're not a Christian, still a lot of valuable lessons and tools and tips and strategies that Mark shared with us that we can use to go out and reach our goals and understand that sometimes you have to fall off of that line in order to get to where you need to go. So friends and family, as you know, we'll have links to everything we discussed here of value. And all you got to do is go to livethegoals.com, go to the podcast page and enter Mark in the search bar, and his show notes will pop right up along with the episode. And you'll see there quotes as well as a link to his site, email address, and his phone number. All of that good content will be right there for you, friends and family. So until next time, friends and family, remember to set goals that matter and live the goals you set. Friends and family, I love bringing you these podcast episodes 5 days a week, all for free. You don't have to pay anything to listen to all the great interviews and word of the day episodes. But there is a really simple and fast way that you can show your appreciation. All you have to do is press subscribe on your podcast player. See, the more subscribers we get for Live the Goals podcast, the more likely we'll rank higher and reach someone who really needs to hear these motivating and inspiring episodes. So as soon as this episode is over, take a second and subscribe to Live the Goals podcast. So thanks again for listening, friends and family. Thank you for subscribing. And until next time, remember to set and reach goals that matter.
Thanks for checking out the show today, and make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We hope you take away something that helps fill your life with purpose and laughter. And make sure you head over to livethegoals.com for more info on guests and resources. Remember to set and reach goals that lead you to a life of purpose and passion.